The chat box is to the bottom of the screen. Marvellous. I see Joe, Carl. Hello, Carl. Hi, Gareth. A few more people. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, if you could just type a quick message in the chat box. Yes, yes, marvellous. It seems that everybody is listening. Marvellous. Hello and welcome. Hello, everyone. So a little bit of housekeeping before we kick off. So please use this comment box to communicate with myself throughout the session. I am here with the lovely Joe Clark as well, who will be our chat moderator for this session. So if you have any questions and I miss them, Joe will keep track of them and hopefully keep you engaged throughout the session as well. Feel free to tweet your questions or comments at HannahDCW, and please watch all videos and take part in all activities. I know some of you have been to webinars with us before, so looking forward to your participation. So my name is Hannah Prance, and very welcome to all of you to our quick 1-hour webinar for helping young adults to safely explore the digital landscape. This is for Safer Internet Day 2017, so I hope you've all tweeted, I hope you've all promoted this day. It's a wonderful day, and I hope you get something from today's webinar. So our aims for today are to learn how to confidently build young adults' digital skills, look at resources, apps and websites that we can use to get information and share good information with our clients, and gain the confidence to support the young adults in our lives and our careers to explore the internet more safely. So our overall aims for today are about general awareness, general skills and general confidence. We're not going to look at specific risks or specific behaviours for a simple reason, is that these change quickly. Within 2 weeks, whatever we look at today as a risk will have changed and adapted. When I was a young person myself, a young adult myself, the rule was never use your mobile phone on the internet, and that's already changed. So today is very much about the general awareness, the general skills, rather than the specific ones, because we don't want to keep coming back. So we're hopefully going to look at these wider approaches and future-proof ourselves and future-proof our clients. So young adults and the internet. So young adults aged between 16 and 24 can spend more than 27 hours a week on the internet, and the average person can spend 2.5 hours every week online on the move. So that's using a mobile phone or their mobile technology at work, at home, a place of study, on the bus, in town centre. So for the generation we're looking at, for 16 to 25-year-olds, they're very much the digital natives of society today. They've grown up with technology in the same way that we have grown up with cars. It's just a part and parcel of their existence, and the way that they use technology can be very different than the way people over the age of, say, 35 can use technology. They're a lot more comfortable and they use it a lot more efficiently, I think, than a lot of people can. And we almost we're at risk ourselves of missing key areas of teaching and of support by not just bringing our awareness to how young adults actually use the internet as opposed to how we use it. So my first question to you all is, what do you think young adults do on the internet? What activities do you think young adults aged 16 to 25 take part in? What do they use the internet for? To chat, to job seek, yeah. 60% of all private sector jobs are only on social media. Posting photos, yeah. Shopping, playing games, social media. Coursework, yes, education is increasingly moving online. Messaging, fabulous. So it's a huge range of activities that young adults do on the internet, and it can go deeper than that. They can watch television, they can take part in causes and campaigns, they build new relationships, they maintain old relationships, they explore their identity using the internet in ways that 20 years ago a lot of people didn't have that opportunity or that ability. Shopping, yeah. YouTubers, taking part in webinars. I love it, Nigel. Taking part in webinars, yes. Education. David, the dark web, yes. The dark web is something that young people tend to be aware of. It's something they will download browsers that they can explore. Without that, we're not going to go into a huge amount of detail with that during this session, but it's an excellent example of that young adults will use technology differently to the way we do. So the next part of this question is, how do you think young adults access the internet? What devices, what technology, what access points do you think they use? Mobile phones, yeah. Yeah, Wi-Fi, Xbox, brilliant, tablets. Yeah, brilliant. So fantastic. You've all got a fantastic awareness of smart TV. Yes, it's brand new technology, and it's the younger generation that are definitely embracing it. Brilliant. So there's a huge amount of ways that smartwatches, yes, and I'm really excited to see what else is going to come out in the next 10 years and be smart. It's going to be amazing. But yes, so young adults, 16 to 25-year-olds, they use technology in a very embedded way. It really is a foundation of what they need to do, and they're using more and more devices in order to do it more effectively. So this is just something I made earlier. Traditionally, for many of us, these three mean internet. So desktop, laptop, mobile phones. They're traditionally the things we look at when we're looking at staying safe online. They're the devices that tend to come to mind quite a lot. But actually, for young adults or for any person of any age, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, these are also devices that are internet enabled, and they do pretty much the same activities as the traditional devices. You can still email people from within your gaming system. You can still access social media because many of them have browsers built in. You can share pictures. A lot of them, Nintendo DSs, for example, have inbuilt cameras, instant messages, voice communication, all from within their internal system. And more besides, just in my home, we have 2 PlayStations, and we use those as our entertainment centres. They stream our video streaming services, as well as help us communicate with friends and family. So to look at how we help people stay safe online, it's about looking at how we have conversations with people that broach all these different areas. Because it's not just enough to say that your email address needs to be nice and generic and suitable for job applications. Your gamer handle needs to be something that you're going to be comfortable with and that you're going to be able to grow into as you get older, because that account is something that might follow you for a very, very long time. Same with Nintendo DS, we need to make sure that people aren't trolling people, and that what's funny in 2017 is still going to be appropriate in 2020. So it's about looking at all these devices, not just the traditional ones. So my next quick question to you all, looking at all these devices, looking at all the different ways that young adults use the internet, what do you think some of the risks are? Try and think beyond the common ones, the things that we all know about and young people are raised with as children to fix. What are some of the other things that they can... That link is not working. Herman, not a problem. We'll find an active link and send it out as a resource at the end of the webinar. Vulnerable sites, yep. Grooming. Any more ideas about what the risks are to young adults, 16 to 25 as a general age group? Scams, yeah. Fraud, yeah. Criminal activities. You've got things like bullying, and that can happen on Facebook, it can happen on World of Warcraft, it can happen over multiple devices. Yeah, fabulous. So it can be helpful when we're thinking of online risks, especially for this slightly older age group, this age group which is half of them are adults, half of them are still very much children. It can be useful to think about risks as being from outside and inside. So there's the risks from outside, there's the risks that other people put on a young adult through their actions. So things like cyberbullying, disturbing content, fraud, stalking. These are risks brought about by other people. Other people's actions are possibly going to cause harm or going to cause some sort of form of distress to our clients. And it's about helping young adults manage those risks that come from outside, come from other people. But likewise, we need to be very mindful that we're helping the young adults in our lives navigate the risks from the inside as well, from within, from their own actions and things that they are doing. That is things like oversharing. That is things like regrettable actions. Again, what's funny when you're 17 isn't going to be very funny when you're 25 or 30, and potentially it can follow you. Overspending. We've mentioned shopping already. It's very easy for young people to spend 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, £100 more than they intended to online. And even addiction. So, you know, the research is still happening at the minute, but being addicted to the internet, being addicted to what it brings you, being addicted to gaming, using it in a way that isn't healthy and it's not balanced. These are risks that come from the young adult's own decision making and own choices. So we need to be able to just be mindful of the separate ways that things happen, because ultimately everything comes from the choice of the young adult themselves. It is about teaching empowerment and that sense of control, because whether you're 16, 18, 21, you're still developing, you're still learning who you are as a person and what you need to do to stay safe. And a lot of this isn't new. This isn't something that's happened because of the internet. The internet is quite simply a different tool that this generation's digital natives are using to make these mistakes, make these changes, try these different things. So to that end, we're just going to watch a very quick video now from CEOPS. CEOPS are a wonderful, wonderful organisation to promote and share. They're a reporting organisation as well, but their YouTube channel is fantastic. They've got some really great age-appropriate content that can generate discussion. So we're just going to watch a quick video about what Romeo and Juliet would look like in the year 2017. So hopefully you'll enjoy this little video. So just a quick video there, just again to highlight, we're not talking about behaviours unique to this generation. We've always done it, we've just expressed it in very different ways. So thinking about these sorts of risks, those risks from outside, those risks from inside, what are some of the things we can do to help young adults manage those risks? Again, try and think outside the box, try and think out of the same 5 things we promote all the time. What are some things we can do to a 16, 18 and a 22-year-old, for example, to help them navigate? Educate them. Yeah, conversation is really important. Yeah, there's a link going out from Joe, just some mistakes teenagers can make online. All these links will be sent out afterwards as well, so don't worry if you miss them. To manage the time they spend online. Yeah, you know, managing that addiction. Meeting a neutral place like in public. Yes, if they do choose to take an online relationship into the real world, acknowledge that and help them manage that safely. That can be a really good thing to do for people. Yeah, any more ideas? Don't give personal info. Yeah, keep that in. Parental controls. Listen to them. Excellent, David. Listening is just as important for young adults. Again, if we take the one end of the spectrum, 16 is a glorious age, but oh, it's painful. And again, you're still a child in some respects, but you need to start being an adult, you need to start expressing. So listening to them, listen to their concerns and what they're actually doing. Chat to your children in an adult way and listen to them. Be careful of social media. Yeah, all these classic tips are still really useful. But as our children get older, as they move into this young adult age bracket, it can be about updating these skills, because you're quite right, things like parental settings, That can be on your browser, be blocking email addresses, game consoles as well. A lot of parents I've met, they don't know how to manage the age settings on their child's game console. So some of you might know my little brother's 13, and he hates me because I do actually put the age limits on all his game consoles. But I love him, and it's for his own good. But he's 13, that is appropriate. It can be reporting things as well. So go into the appropriate website and reporting it, telling a trusted person, and knowing how to escalate it if you see something really worrying. These are sort of the traditional methods of online safety. And we do start like this for children. They're very effective for children. I would say under the age of 14, they're very effective. But as they get older, as they move into that being 16, being 18, being 20, 22, we need to adapt these methods so that they're able to make better choices on their own without having these natural restrictions put in place. So we very much should start having conversations beyond this, because actually just depending on these methods is quite limiting, and it's not always appropriate for the age group of being over the age of 16. So, for example, safety filters can actually sometimes screen out good and safe content. So sexual relationships are legal from the age of 16, but what some filters do is not just filter out explicit sexual content, is they accidentally filter out information on breast cancer, testicular cancer, rape crisis, contraception, termination. So they might, by just depending on these methods, we might actually be restricting this young adult's access to the right information to make a good choice. They're not foolproof either. I remember my first, I was in secondary school from 1999 to 2004, and tradition was every September, that was the month where the whole class came together and we tried to work out how to get around the safety filters to get onto the gaming websites. And that was a tradition for a very long time in my school, because they're not foolproof, and young adults are very good at finding ways around them. They also don't stop mistakes. They don't stop a young adult from sharing a sexually explicit picture of themselves. They won't stop a 20-year-old from saying they're going out drunk one night and they're going to call in sick the next day. So they can be very narrow in their definition of safety, very, very narrow. And finally, we need to know that they're there. Again, the games consoles are a good example. Having safety settings on your PC is all well and good, but unless you're going to do the same thing to the Nintendo DS, to the Kindle, to the Xbox, it can almost be mixed messages. And from the age of 16, depending on these sort of inbuilt safety features aren't always enough. We do need to start conversations and developing wider skill sets, because very quickly they're going to turn from that 16 to that 18 to that 20-year-old, and they're going to be functioning adults. And we want to make sure that they have the best start to use the internet to their advantage. So on that note, thinking about digital, thinking about what we do online, what sort of skills do you think we should help young adults learn from 16 all the way up? What are the skills that we need to develop to be successful online, whatever your definition of success? Learn coding is very useful. It's a really useful field. It gives young people a lot of choice if they have that technical skill, and a lot of understanding about websites as well. For Emma, not oversharing, think about who can see your stuff. Yeah, being mindful of what it is that they're actually putting on the internet, and that concept of the internet is forever. Again, as a child, you might not let them go on Facebook and then they'll get a Facebook at 14. By 16, we still need to be having these conversations. Don't share what you wouldn't shout in the streets online. Yes, absolutely. These very same skills that we try to develop ourselves as adults, we need to start bringing into conversations with our young adults. Encourage them to discuss their concerns. That's lovely. And whatever concern it is, discuss it. Don't just rely on what you read on the internet or what you think to be true. Not to trust everything you read. Marvelous. Critical thinking is so important. Research definitely comes with being mindful of not believing what you read. So you're already hitting on a lot of these big life skills, and that, this is what we're talking about. We are talking life skills. Digital has become very essential for equality and to have the best opportunities and to have equal access. You need these digital skills. So it is very much a life skill we're talking about. So, I mean, these are just some of the skills I came up with. So, we need to be teaching forward thinking. Will I regret this? Is this going to come back and haunt me in 10 years? Critical thinking. Is this true? Is this fair? Is this accurate? We need to teach empathy. Can this hurt or offend others? Do I have the right to say this or to be a part of this if it's going to upset a lot of other people? We need to teach social awareness as well. What's the wider story? Whatever you're accessing online, whatever conversations you're having, research, look at more than one source, be aware of what's going on. Confidence and self-esteem as well. Is this going to make me feel bad? We'll go into this, but obviously there's a huge amount of exposure to adjusted images on the internet, and they're not out to make us feel good about ourselves. There's lots of research about we compare our lives to other people's, and it's about that confidence and self-esteem and how that interacts with the internet. And then where can you get help? Who can I talk to? Is this normal? Is this not normal? Is this legal? Is this not legal? So these are just some of the wider skills that we might want to be thinking about teaching our young adults, as opposed to those hard and fast device-specific safety tips. These are the sorts of things that go across the board. So with empathy, for example, swearing on online games, some people might mind, some people might not. Language if you're in an open source game. Confidence and self-esteem. Looking at YouTube videos all the time for perfect makeup skills, is it because you want to be creative, or is it because you're actually ashamed of how you look? It's a much wider way of approaching online safety because it's a little bit more transferable, and hopefully it'll last a lot longer than these device and app specific safety tips. That's what we're hoping for anyway. So on that note, has anybody seen the image on the left before? Does anyone remember when the image hit the internet and caused a bit of an uproar? You get Gareth, sort of? No, Carl? Fine? No. It's a couple of years old now. It's about 5 years old, but it's one that will always stick in my mind. These are two covers for Ralph Lauren magazine. They're the same woman, but as you can see in the left image, the woman looks relatively quite healthy. She looks proportional, whereas they photoshopped this image on the left, and her waist they've measured her waist is actually smaller than her head at this level. It caused massive uproar because it was part of the wider conversation about Photoshop in advertisement, about the impact it's having on young women. So that's the wider conversation. It's also the critical thinking. Do people really look like this? How long do you think it took this person to look this way? Because especially in 2017, you don't even have to be on Photoshop to create an entirely different identity now with the use of the right lighting, the right makeup. If you look at YouTube bloggers, they've always got the same sort of backgrounds and the same lighting, and they're very talented and wonderfully creative, but it's more than just putting on the makeup. So having these wider conversations brings in the critical thinking, brings in the confidence and self-esteem. And it can be more useful to look at these sorts of things and have the conversation than it is to simply say don't believe everything you see online, because these are the sorts of things that for many people, for many young adults, they're actually quite influential. Especially if there's products involved, if there's marketing involved, if they're looking to get people to spend money. It's about building their awareness that actually this isn't what the product does, this is the skill and the talent of the person advertising the product. It can be quite useful. Has anyone seen these sorts of posts before? They're usually on social media, usually in banner ads. Yeah. Clickbait. It is one of the most annoying things on the internet, in my opinion. It's what it says, isn't it? It's clickbait. It'll give you sort of half a story. You click the link to get the other half. So you'll never believe which two stars got into a fight on the red carpet. Click here to find out. Man hugs lion. Click here to find out. As well as being really annoying, clickbait can actually be quite risky as well. They can take you to websites that could put in virus on your computer. They could share misinformation, advertise misleading products. So I've seen they've been there for quite some time, but it's usually something along the lines of dermatologists hate this woman for her one age-defying secret, or whatever it is. Click the link and it takes you through to a product. And it's also the concept of pay-per-click as well. So as well as those more illegal and slightly more unethical practices, there is the concept of pay-per-click, where they will take possibly a 50-word story and spread it out over 20 pages in order to get you to click and maximise their revenue. It's not effective and it's not always worth your time. But again, bringing young people's awareness to Nigel fake news, but coming on to that, Nigel, yeah. The concept of pay-per-click, it can help young people, young adults start to realise, oh, my clicks are worth money. My clicks are actually really important. And be more mindful of where they go. If they want to know something, they just can put it into Google and get the full story. They don't have to go through clickbait websites. And very often, they're not particularly interesting anyway. But they can make that decision. So, for example, there's a couple of animal charity-based websites that are quite clickbaity. They will really eke out a story. But I'll support them because obviously they're a charity and that's one of their money-raising avenues. And there's other pop culture-based websites I choose not to because I don't want to. I don't want to give them the money. Gareth, are these the modern-day versions of chainmails? They can definitely be seen as chainmail because it keeps you clicking. It keeps you clicking. It wants you to get to the end. And sometimes, if you go in through social media, they'll ask you for permission, and a lot of people will give it without thinking, and they can post that then on your timeline, and then that'll go out to all your friends, and they might click it, and that's again self-sustaining then in terms of free advertising for that website that's going to make them money. So it can definitely be seen as a chainmail because they want people to click it and disseminate it quite quickly. So clickbait's not the end of the world. It is an annoyance, but it's not something that can cause a huge amount of havoc, whereas fake news is definitely a bit of a flavour at the minute. We've always struggled with it as a society, but it's really come to light in recent months. So, breaking news: the most beautiful cat in the world. I made this. This is my cat when he was little, and he is the most beautiful cat in the world. But it took me all of 30 seconds to create something. Oh, thank you. He's really cute. He's big now. He's a stone. Oh, he's massive. This took me 30 seconds to create, and I could have put anything in this headline. I could have put anything in the tagline, and I could have shared it. And a lot of people won't read the wider story. They will just read that headline. They'll just read something sent to make them angry or to make them seem interesting, and people can share it. And this is how fake news gets around, is they'll take that one sentence and put it out of context. For our young adults, it's really important to have these conversations about fake news, about researching, critical thinking. What is the wider story? What's the empathy? Is it, is if it's a headline that's calling for different treatment of a certain group, is that something you want to share? Because what if a member of that group is going to see it? So we need to work with adults to answer these key questions of who posted it and why. What's the aim and purpose? What website is it on even? Obviously, news websites tend to have an agenda, not the BBC. They need to be neutral. But most .com websites, they have an agenda, they have an idea, and it's about explaining and exploring this with our young adults. Otherwise, they can get pulled into something and potentially look quite silly, and it's going to have a massive impact on them in the future, and they can be taken advantage of in this way as well. So This is a story from I think 2 years ago. A young man, college age, 16, 17, I believe British, posted this tweet: tampons should not be free. If you can't control your bladder, that's not the taxpayer's problem. This was when the story was around the fact that women's sanitary products were classed as a luxury item and therefore had tax placed upon them. And that big conversation, that wider social issue had happened, and this young man's science teacher had clearly failed him, and he put up this tweet. Now, this tweet got hold of by several news outlets, and you can see the headline just underneath: "Idiot and menace say women should control bladders." They interviewed him, and again, he promoted quite a lot of wrong, outdated, and potentially misogynistic views. This was a 16, 17, 18-year-old young man. This was somebody who could have been educated, who needed to be educated, and could change his opinion. But now, sadly, because of not knowing the wider issue, not being aware of all the facts, if you were to Google his name in a job interview, at any point in the future, you're probably going to bring up all of these news articles, and you're going to be aware that this is what he thought at this point, and that's not necessarily the best place to be starting your career or to be starting a new relationship from. But this is just a very good example about how fake news, fake information, misinformation, not researching it, not looking at it as a whole, actually has a big impact on our young clients' potential futures. And it's not about making fun of them. It's absolutely not. As I say, for this young man, it must have been his science teacher's fault or his PE teacher's fault. But it is what it is. And it's about just being very mindful of this, that we have conversations with our young adults about these wider issues, not to make them think a certain way, but just to give them neutral information, and then they can go on social media and join the cause or promote the campaign as they see fit, rather than sharing then continuing to share bad information, continuing to share misinformation. Because a lot of young adults are actually very socially conscious now. They're very much, thanks to social media, they do have a great awareness of what's going on in the world. So if we notice things are going on, it's fine to bring them up. It's fine to have those conversations with people and see what information they're working from. The theme is cats today, if you can't tell. The other thing that's worth mentioning, touched on it with some of the other slides, is that idea of confidence and self-esteem. It has never been easier to get support online. We can share our pictures, our ideas, our blogs. We can live stream. YouTube videos are an amazing form of expression for lots of young people. So there's the YouTube makeup videos that are happening, the cosplay that's going on, and it's a wonderful way to express and share who you are. The challenge is we need to try and have conversations with our young people, with our young adults, that it's not quick and it's not true, and you don't have to look a certain way, and you don't have to be accepted in a certain way either. It borders on addiction when, as again, this is a friend of mine, if a photo doesn't get a certain amount of likes, then it gets taken down, because that she only wants like 50 likes on photos. That's public. That's her choice, but is it necessarily healthy? Is it necessarily something which is going to be of benefit to her in her life in a couple of years? So with our young adults, it's about making sure that what they're putting out there is for them and their own expression, as opposed to for validity from other people, which again is where things like the previous slide with the young menaced potentially could go wrong, in that they might be trying to get the wrong kind of validation from some people. So it's not necessarily about being exploited by others, it's about them not having the confidence and the self-esteem to acknowledge, actually, I'm awesome. Doesn't matter if I'm A, B or C, I'm fine, and it doesn't matter what other people think of me. Again, it ties into cyberbullying quite well on that note. If they put something up and it's disagreed with, it's having the confidence to think that's your opinion and leave it over there, or delete it, report it, depending on what sort of information that they're getting back. But it's very important that as our 16 to 18 to 20 to 22-year-olds are using the internet, that they're using it to make sure that they feel positive, not as a, oh, look at her or look at him, and as a comparison exercise. And one of the absolute best things about the internet, it's actually one of the reasons I fell in love with it when I first started using it when I was a kid, is its ability to make relationships. Young adults now use the internet very differently in this sense. So again, for a lot of people, it's don't add anyone you don't know, don't speak to people you don't know, don't meet up with people, you know, it's those very basic safety tips. They're not quite suitable for the way young adults use the internet anymore. So for example, in the top right panel, this is a screenshot from an online role-playing game. So whether you're Xbox, PlayStation or PC, majority now of games that you buy online have an online playing element. So you can go on and you can play with other people. Now, it's not always people that you know. My brother-in-law is 17 and he plays with, I think, 2 people from his school when he went to school. But 2 or 3 of them he's never met in his life, but he's been playing with them for a number of years on a number of different games, and they form their own troop and they go off and forage, and I don't know what he does, I'll leave him over there. But he genuinely has relationships with these people, and just because none of his local friends like these games, it doesn't mean he can't go on and enjoy them with other people. So he's getting more value for his money by using these features. But again, he needs to be very mindful to use appropriate gamer handles to monitor his language, because if he does swear or if he does do anything abusive over this chat feature, he can get blocked and therefore can lose a lot of money in that product. So there's still an etiquette to online game playing that we need to be mindful of as we're supporting our young people, our young adults, to use the internet more effectively. It's different etiquette for different devices and different games. Another example in the top left is bronies. So My Little Pony got a reboot a few years ago, and they were shocked by the sheer amount of adult fans that the show got. And particularly they were shocked by how many grown men really enjoyed the show. They really thought it was a very good programme. From there, the internet brought all these people together, and they have BronyCons, and again, these are individuals who traditionally they would be made fun of for having this interest or this passion, but the internet allows them to come together. And there's a wonderful documentary on the bronies. Bronies, or bro, a man who loves ponies, in case you didn't get the reference. And it was lovely to see, these individuals, these young adults saying, actually, yeah, we really do like this, and we're not going to be bullied or ashamed of the interest we have in this program. And the internet helps them get in touch with other people and share this passion and share this interest. And in the bottom left, we can take it one further as well, in that for more vulnerable groups, the internet is a wonderful form of relationship building, and it's possibly the only form of healthy relationship they can have. For example, the LGBT group. In some areas of the world, obviously, they're not as protected, they're not as accepted, and they might be at real risk if they identify as LGBT, or they might actually be out as gay, lesbian, bisexual or trans and be being bullied. The internet has allowed them access to information, to role models, to see people just like them, and they're normal and they're happy and they're healthy. There's quite a lot of Facebook pages. I think one of the most populated ones is called Lizzie the Leslie. And as part of her Facebook page, she promotes images of happy couples and happy relationships, and trans individuals with their before self and after self, and it's very positive. And so for young adults who are looking at their gender, who are looking at their sexuality and might not have the support in their local community face to face, the internet is actually a wonderful resource for them to get that emotional support. So it's not just about being, don't talk to strangers. It's helping young adults navigate when to spot if it's going horribly wrong and what to do if that does happen. which with the bottom right image, it can happen. It's very easy for these potentially healthy, wonderful, developmentally important relationships to go horribly wrong. If we look at, extremism, if we look at grooming for that purpose, sexual exploitation, these are all things that can happen as well. These are all relationships that can happen online, and they can start off in these wonderfully healthy, positive forums and turn out to not be something that a young adult should ever dream of considering. There is a website, I won't say what it is, I found it on my travels. I see lots on my travels on the internet, and it's a message forum, and it's very anti-women. So if a young adult doesn't have a good relationship with women and happen to find that, well, the relationships he develops there aren't necessarily going to be positive. They're not going to be something that's going to be a benefit to him in 5, 10, 15 years. So again, it is about having someone to speak to, who can you speak to, and how to find good and safe information online as well. But for the most part, the internet is absolutely wonderful for building unique, different relationships with all sorts of people. It's just helping our young adults navigate and do it safely, and be mindful of how all that happens. So, thinking about all those sorts of skills that we've developed and how they can apply to these real world activities, these actual things that young adults do. If a client did come to you and they were upset about an action or an activity they've done online, what do you think you could do to respond? Think about what sort of thing your young adult clients might come to you with. Is it going to be cyberbullying, or is it potentially going to be they've really upset their nan with something that they've posted? Calm them down and talk about it. Show some remorse. Yes, empathy. Again, it's really important. And it's fine, it's a learning curve. This is what the age group is for. Try to establish the facts. Excellent, because we can't work with them unless we have those facts. Help them relax. It's really important. Signpost them to websites for help and support. Yeah, definitely. We can also do things like, once we've got these facts, we can have those wider conversations with them, like why they did it, what they really think, what they meant to say versus what they actually said, what their options are now for fixing it, whether that's an action that they do, whether it's something they do to their device to stop it happening again, anything like that. So having those wider conversations is so important, because it's not enough to leave something that goes wrong in a box over there fixed, because anything that goes wrong is a learning opportunity, and it's so important for young adults that they do understand it's not the end of the world. This is how we fix it, and this is what we're going to take forward from it. Mistakes are a good thing. You learn from mistakes. So yeah, if a client comes to you, I think you've all got the right idea. Just be calm, calm them down. Get the facts, have a wider conversation about what's gone on, why they said it or why they did it, what the fallout is, what their options are, what the law says as well. Because I've always known this, but I've recently had it confirmed that obviously sexting amongst this age group can be quite difficult, because if you're 16, 17 and you're sexting, if you're sending an explicit image of yourself, you're technically not an adult. So what you're sending is technically not legal. So again, those wider conversations, it's not just about scaring young adults, it is about having those wider conversations, those wider impact assessments, as it were, and helping them make different decisions. And I think what's ultimately really important that we promote to our young adult clients, and that we practice ourselves as anyone who uses the internet, is to be mindful. It's very easy to use the internet as a distraction, and it's very easy to use it without actually acknowledging what you're doing. And for some people with addictive personalities, or who have a vulnerability within them, it's not always going to be healthy. So There's a useful link that's just gone out on mindfulness and social media, for example. Bring awareness to what they're doing. Why are they on this website? What's their aim for it? What do they use it for? And you can scale this up then as well. Why are you giving your email address to this website? Why are you putting your mobile phone number into this website? Why is this picture going up? And just by promoting this sort of mindfulness, as being more aware of what it is you're doing, it can hopefully give young adults a little bit more breathing room to think, do I want to do this? Is this going to impact on me in future? Is this something I will stand by in 5 years? Is this something I can take back? And all these different bits and pieces. So a little bit of mindfulness is always a good thing online for young adults, for anybody, but it's a lovely little handout to give to any young adults you work with. So we're coming up to the end of our time, and just as a really quick summing up, these are the top 3 tips we hope you take away from this session. Again, this hasn't been about giving you hard and fast facts on what to do to stay safe. This is about what we can do to help people make better decisions and develop the skills to make better decisions. So our first tip is digital resilience. It's being able to be responsive to what's going online without it beating you down, basically. It's about having the confidence to do what's right and do what you need to do. It's about taking control of what it is that you're doing and is happening, and knowing where to go. We need to promote critical thinking as well. That is so important, especially I think in today's climate, with obviously fake news and alternative facts being in the media. It is something we're talking about. It's a wonderful opportunity to discuss these critical thinking skills with our young adults. And lastly, to promote these wider benefits of being online as well, and bring our attention to them as well. It's very easy for us to get so bogged down in the hard benefits, like better for job seeking, saving money, that you can forget actually what you use it for. So, for example, I've mentioned that in my household we use Netflix, and it's about just, that's a wider benefit because it's there when I want it, and it's got I can list all the benefits of it. And it's just being aware of them, just being aware of the relationships you can build, of what the technology is enabling us to do, how much of that we're choosing to do, and just being more aware of these wider benefits, these wider conversations that digital can have. So you'll get a list of all the resources. You'll get a copy of this webinar and a copy of the presentation sent to you afterwards. But these are just some absolutely fantastic websites that can help give hard and their reporting system. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Yes. Okay, marvellous. Sorry about that. So COPS is a wonderful resource, and they have lots of information. Most of it's broken down into age brackets as well. Same with the NSPCC. Action fraud, wonderful if any young adult is worried that they've been defrauded online. Again, a lot of them will online shop. Some resources there for critical thinking around safeguarding, digital resilience, and Mike Cymru as well. So take these resources, promote them, share them, use them. But these are some really good resources that will get updated very frequently. So if there is any new trends happening that are very applicable to this age range, these are the websites to maybe check once a month or once a quarter, just to see what's new, just to see what's happening out there. So I hope you've enjoyed this session. I hope it's been useful, and it's helped you think about online safety a little bit differently than maybe the hard and fast way that we've traditionally done things. And I hope that you found something useful from today. So please get in touch. If you have any questions or any requests, please get in touch with us. So my email is hannah.france@wales.coop, and I'll be sending out an email to you all this afternoon with a list of the resources and the presentation on them. Please sign our digital charter, and if you want more information about digital inclusion or maybe receiving training on digital inclusion from us, please get in touch, and if we can help you then we will. For the next 10 minutes, myself and Joe are going to be manning the chat box. My name comes up as David Madge on the system, but it is me. If you have any questions, more than happy to be here for the next 10 minutes, just answering questions and having that wider discussion with you. So thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. We love getting feedback, so if you would drop us an email or a tweet, just letting us know if you enjoyed it, if you didn't, what you'd like to see in future, what you'd like to see changed, because obviously this is a slightly different approach to online safety than we've done before. That would be wonderful. So I'm going to turn my audio off now, because otherwise you're just going to hear me breathing in the background, so it's a bit creepy. But Joe and I will be in the chat box for the next 10 minutes. So thank you very much, and hope to see you all again very soon. Thank you.